name is Russ. Thank you so much for joining. This is the CapEx IndustryCast webinar. And we are super excited to talk about communication in project management. So what we do is every week we go live in an effort to add value to our customers. That's why we exist, is to add value to our customers. And that is our mission at CapEx Sales, is to always be adding value. So today we're going to be talking about communication in project management, and specifically some of the keys to improving your communication, some ideas around how you can, as a project manager or a husband or spouse, friend, communicate better. So it's just overall how we can become better communicators. But first, let's talk about, this is the only advertisement in this conversation, is what we do. So CapEx Sales, we are manufacturers representatives, and we focus on building relationships that work. What that means is we want to work for our customers and provide solutions that make sense. So we represent amazing companies: ATC Automation out of Cookeville, Tennessee. We represent Cincinnati Test Systems, the largest leak test company in the world. Duquesne Plastic Joining, they are a global plastic joining company, meaning vibration welding, hot plate welding, spin welding, laser welding, infrared welding, hot gas welding, all things welding is what they do. Symmetric is a division of Cincinnati Test Systems. They do high-speed in-process test and data management. So in today's Industry 4.0, that is their focus. That's their world. And then Keller Technologies is a company that's focused on air filtration. So this is the wet and dry air filtration that you would have in your industrial facility. Okay, so we'll jump right in. Here's the challenge. So as a project manager, when we are in college, as engineers, when we're going through our education, we don't take a lot of communication courses. And so we get out, and engineers, we're naturally introverts, right? We tend to stick to ourselves. And so when we are put in a role where we need to communicate and engage other people, it doesn't come natural. So it's a skill that we have to develop. And that's what I want to do today, is talk to you about some keys, some key ideas, some concepts for you to improve your communication skills, and then increase your value in your organization as a result of increasing your communication skills. Communications, it's really the foundation of successful project management. When the best in the business that I am aware of, that I'm familiar with, they are great communicators. They're great with communicating with people on their team. They're great with communicating to suppliers. They're great with communicating with their management. So they're good at collectively communicating with everyone on and in the process of managing the project. So keeping the team on the same page, critical, right? With detailed but simple communication. So we're going to talk a little bit about what detailed, simple communication is all about. We're talking bullet points, keeping all of the information in one spot, formatting your communication so that it makes it easier to find relevant information for the person for the people that you're communicating with. So that is what the top project managers do, is they communicate succinctly, they keep it simple, they keep it formatted in a regular format, and share often. Communication is key to building trust, right? So it's fundamental to building trust in our relationships with our team members. It's key to demonstrating empathy. So when we're going to build that trust, or building those relationships, we want to communicate with empathy and understanding. That makes it a two-way street. That's the emotional intelligence that I often talk about. It's so important for all of us. That's the soft skills that we need to develop looking into the future in order for us to be able to progress in our roles and in our organizations. So that empathy, although we don't often think about that in our work, but that's really what connects us to other people, is empathy and an understanding and a willingness to do so. Exchanging information. So that's what we're doing, right? So if we're not exchanging information, and exchange is a two-way street. So in communication, it is an exchange, and we want feedback. And that's the next aspect of the exchange, is receiving feedback from another person based on what we've communicated to them. Did you get it? What is your feedback? Is it relevant? What other clarification is necessary for you to use this information and move forward? We're going to use communication to help us prevent mistakes, right? So you're going to use your experience from previous situations, previous projects that you've managed. You see something that could potentially be avoided, you're going to communicate that. So the only way that your team is going to know to avoid that mistake is by you sharing it with them, saying, hey, here's my experience, and then articulating in a way that's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're not going to do that. So that's how we help to avoid mistakes, is by communicating with our team based on our experience. There's a book, it's a wonderful book. It's called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. And in that book, Mr. Covey talks about character-based behavior recommendations. So these are 5 character-based behavior recommendations that we're going to break down right now as it relates to building trust with your team, communicating internally to your organization. Talk straight. So important. Don't beat around the bush. Tell it like it is. That's what talk straight is all about. So communicate clearly so that others will understand you. Don't use jargon. Don't use big words. Don't use context to make yourself seem smarter. I'm sure you are smart, but I was going to say smarter than you really are. But we can often use what we call, outside words or inside words on the outside world, as an example. So if there's something internal to our organization that is that a way with it we communicate, and we try to use that same language terminology with the outside world, they're not gonna get it. It's not gonna resonate. So when you're communicating with suppliers, you can't use internal language with your suppliers because they're not gonna understand or have any context for what you are talking about. So just communicate clearly and not use jargon. Offer clear intent for what you're about to communicate. So why are you going to communicate this? What is it? What is your goal? What is the mission with this communication that you're going to have? You want to avoid counterfeit behavior, such as that could lead to withholding necessary information, unnecessary flattery, or spinning a topic in a way. People are incredibly intuitive. And when you are not being forthright, when you're withholding information, when you are not being truthful, which I guess is probably the same thing as not being forthright, people pick up on that. We are a tribal people. I mean, we've been around, we've been in tribes for forever. And that has really tuned us into other people. And without even listening to verbal, we can watch someone and we can see when they are not being forthright and honest. It's a gift that we have, and it's that uneasiness that we feel when we are being told something that isn't necessarily true. So being cognizant of that means just talk straight, tell the truth, period. We want to demonstrate respect. If we want to build trust, we got to demonstrate respect. And how we do that is we show sincere recognition and appreciation for other people. There's nothing that we want more from others than a demonstration of appreciation. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. So grateful that you did that. Or that was amazing. You did a fantastic job with whatever it was that you did. So demonstrate appreciation. Giving appreciation, sharing appreciation takes nothing away from you. In fact, it adds to you. It feels good, for one. So communicate with fairness and civility. So what that means is if you are communicating to one person one way, you want to communicate with all people that way. Now, we're going to talk about some different personalities and different personality profiles and how we articulate conversation with them. But we want to make sure that we are always fair and we're always civil and we're not unreasonable. Again, that counterfeit aspect of communication that can creep in there. So we can be fake. We can fake respect or fake concern. Don't do that. That just takes away from who you are, and it makes people put their guard up, and they're very suspicious whenever we do that. So don't fake respect or fake concern for people if you want to build trust with your team. Transparency, so important. This is really a key component that's lacking in our world today. We don't transparent. We're not very transparent, and that is just the reality of life. But if you want to build trust, if you want to take your ability to manage projects to the next level, creating transparency is key. So team members and stakeholders want to know what is really going on. And I would argue it's really important that your stakeholders know what's going on, because they're the people that can help you get out of the mess. Your team can as well, for sure. But you've got to just communicate the reality of situations. Effective project managers address issues openly with the team. So you are not holding back information. If something is relevant, um, was it bad news doesn't age well? That is what they say. So you want to make sure that you get those issues out there immediately when you discover them, understand them for certain, but engage your team to help you solve them. Don't try to put it all on your shoulders and solve it. Get your team involved. Allow them to help you solve whatever problem is that needs to be addressed. You do that through transparency and communicating problems quickly. Aim to resolve issues and maintain integrity of the team. So don't create a he said, she said environment. Just talk straight. This is such a struggle for the world today, is to have an open dialogue without judgment, without bias, and just focus on a solution. So for example, if you're in a business that say washes cars, then the deal is you just want to wash cars, right? We don't need to have all the personality that goes into the people that are washing the cars. We just need to show up ready to serve the customers. And so in your business, that's what you want to do. That's where you want to show up. You want to show up ready to serve your end customer for building the equipment or managing the project that you are. So aim to solve issues, maintain integrity for the team. Means don't blame, just solve problems. They develop so often this happens is you develop what you see is what you get approach to communication internally and externally. So you want to develop that, what you see is what you get, so that people know that you're honest in operating out of integrity. That's the transparency piece. Again, continuing on, number 4 here is you want to right wrongs. Say, I'm sorry. Work with humility. Be humility. Demonstrate humility. Humility and trust are critical when accepting responsibility for a mistake or series of mistakes. You want to make sure that you're honest and you say, hey, I'm so sorry. As far as team members go, they will take your word in addressing mistakes. When you right wrongs, when you're forthright, just addressing it quickly, saying, I'm sorry. So if you address a mistake immediately with immediate apology and begin to repair any damage, your team will do the same. That's how they all begin to operate, not out of judgment, not out of blame, not out of trying to grow themselves in the team. They're going to operate with humility. And that in order to do that, we've got to be willing to apologize. There's a level of vulnerability that goes into righting wrongs. I get that, but you will build a better team, have better outcomes as a result of humility, taking humility and righting those wrongs. So be quick to right a wrong. It will lead to expanded trust, regardless of the mistake. It doesn't matter what it is. If you try to hide it or avoid righting that wrong, like I mentioned, bad news doesn't age well. Neither does an unwillingness to say that you're sorry. But it is the easiest way to move a relationship forward is to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'd encourage you to do it at home as well. In all your relationships, all of our relationships, we need to be willing to be vulnerable with saying, I'm sorry, and then moving the relationships forward. You want to show loyalty with your team members. So character-based leadership requires that all issues be communicated openly. Talk about it with everyone. So what this means is when there's a problem with someone else, we're not just talking about it with a person when that other person isn't in the room, right? Because that's a violation of integrity. We want to talk about it openly with the team. Say, hey, here's the situation. Here's the issue. Not in a desire to find the person that did it, or to accuse people, or to find a scapegoat, but to really work on a solution to the problem. That's going to develop loyalty, right? That not whispering behind people's back and things like that. So No gossip. That's what you got to develop as the mission with your team. It is also important that the ideas are credited to the people that made them. Don't you hoard credit as a leader. You want to make sure that you are sharing that. Whoever did it, they get the credit for it. So some other fundamentals. So here are some tips. So when we are speaking and writing, so two fundamentals of communication, right? Speaking and writing. So know why you are about to say what you're about to say. So before we speak, we want to know, okay, what's the desired outcome for what I'm about to say? And most of the time, what you'll find, I think probably 50% of the time, you'll find that I don't need to say this, or it's going to cause more problems than it will good. I know oftentimes I open my mouth and I wish I could pull back whatever came out. So know why you are about to say what you're about to say. Know your audience. Really important that you know your audience. So the DISC profile, DISC, that can help you understand the people that you're communicating with, because each of these are personality types. So a high D or a high I or a high S or high C, each one of those, they need a different communication style. They're going to accept a different communication style. So it's important that we have some inkling, some understanding of who we're talking with, and then we can address them in communication appropriately. Clearly articulate your expectations. So what's the why are we having this conversation, and then what's the desired outcome? So if the conversation has a specific desired outcome, it is important that you state the expectations up front. Here's why we're having this conversation, and then repeat it as you wrap up. Okay, here's what we covered, here's where we're going to move forward, because every communication should be about communicating information and then having a desired outcome. So here's a little acronym that you can use when you're thinking about WAC. I think WAC is a conference as well, but so consider this acronym: why, and then know your audience. So why, audience, and then have a clear outcome for the conversation that you're about to have with them. So especially important when you're going to have a talk with even a child. So you're going to be talking with your child. Why are you having this conversation? Know your audience. How should you approach this person in the conversation? And then what is going to be the desired outcome, the actions as a result of having this conversation. So as it relates to writing, so you want to have a clear subject line. So most of our communication these days when we write is in email. And one of the biggest mistakes that we make in email is not having a very clear subject line. So I want to encourage you to be very clear in your subject line: meeting minutes from this meeting on this date at this time. And so again, now when someone's searching through their email trying to find something specific, the headline tells them they don't even have to open it up. They know if it's relevant. They know if it's what they are actually looking for. So that is a very unused resource, is the subject line for your emails in helping to gain clarity and making it easier for your team to search. So create templates for all your email communication as a project manager. So having the same pattern, the same routine will allow your team members to quickly view the email for the information that's necessary and relevant for them. So if you're bullet pointing, which I encourage you to do, don't write multiple paragraphs. People will not read it. They don't care. They're too busy. What you got to do is here's the information we shared, bullet points, boom, 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 boom. Here are the action items as a result of that, boom, 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 boom. Here's responsible for those action items as well. And here are the due dates for what we've talked about. So be very clear. Here are the actions. Here's the person responsible. Here's when it's supposed to be turned around. And then in your next meeting, make sure that you review those and hold people accountable for doing their part in that follow-up. Otherwise, why even communicate in the first place, right? So I mentioned avoid lengthy explanations, stick to the facts, get to the point. Don't attempt to beat around the bush. Just get clear, be very clear. So create a folder for all your team communication so that they can go and access as necessary. So your meeting minutes, your RFQ, your specification, your drawings, blah, 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 all that information, have it in the same spot so that your team can access it on a regular basis. Okay, bringing it home here. We're going to summarize. Exceptional project managers are exceptional communicators, period. Straight talk in both verbal and written communication. Be very clear. Demonstrate respect. Why? Who's the audience? What's the desired outcome? What are the action items associated with it? So demonstrate respect. Why are we having this conversation? Why am I communicating with this person? Who is this person? So how do I effectively communicate with this person in the right way so that we can maximize our conversation? And then what is the desired outcome from the communication? So being very clear on that before you even go into the conversation will help ensure that you have success, especially when you have contentious dialogue that you're going to be addressing or contentious subjects that need to be addressed. So you want to have transparency. So you want to engage in open and honest dialogue. Very important in building that trust within your team is being transparent. And when you make a mistake, which you will make mistakes, you will say the wrong thing, you will do the wrong thing, say I'm sorry. Have humility. We all make mistakes. Own it. And then show loyalty. So effective leaders give credit where credit is due. Be loyal to your team members. Let them know that you care about them, you appreciate them, and what they're doing for you is making a difference. So, and give them credit where credit is due. All right, that's that. Any questions on that topic, Vicki?
No, it doesn't look like we have any questions.
All right, very good. So the next CapEx Industry Cast, so excited for this because Paul Cathcart, you talk about energy. This guy has tremendous energy and he's so fun to talk with, and he knows all things welding. So we're going to be talking about welding processes for large parts, specifically vibration welding, hot plate welding, hot gas welding, infrared welding. So, non-particulate welding, which is very important these days. So that's some of the topics that are what we're going to cover on October 28th. Encourages. So what topics would you like to cover? Ask. We're here for you. We want to share information that's relevant for you, our customers, the engineers that we serve every day. So let us know what topics you would like for us to cover. We'll do the research. We'll create this 30-minute presentation and knock it out for you. As always, we appreciate you. We don't exist without you as our customers. So again, my name is Russ Sorrells. I cover Western North Carolina and then select upstate South Carolina accounts. Chris Mullins is over in Eastern North Carolina and Virginia. And then Mike Dorsey is down there in South Carolina, serving us there as well. So look forward to seeing you on October 28th. I hope you have a fantastic week. In the meantime, let us know how we can serve you until then. Thanks. Bye-bye.